the news is it's official, and we saw that Adam Schefter, I should say, had a report that it looked like Daniel Jones was going to be done with the Giants. He'll never play another down for the team. Obviously, there's a lot of games still left in the NFL, but they don't want this guy to get hurt. So he's not even back up. They totally said, you're done here because if he gets hurt and can't pass the physical in March, they owe him $23 million. So they don't want any chance of him not being able to pass the physical because they don't want to have to pay that.
Right.
And here's the other thing, too, is by cutting him, they're going to save $78 million, which, again, this is why I'm so against the Players Association in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
The contracts are fake and phony. Kelvin.
Yep.
$78 million? They're going to get out of it? Like, you didn't have whatever the number they told you never had that deal. You know, it's phony. Why does the Players Association allow the team to announce and these agents these phony contracts that aren't guaranteed? What is the guaranteed money? If it's
that's
$40
all
million,
I want to talk about.
That's
Don't tell me this fake number that makes the team look great, like they're throwing me the bag,
or like you got money
me.
too, right?
Yeah, well, but it's the team in that it looks like, oh, look, we value you this much. You know what? iHeart values me, what they're paying me, and I'm happy for it. But that's the agreement. This is what Kelvin Washington's getting paid, not a fake number that they just throw out there to say, hey, if this goes this way, this goes this way, this goes this way, and maybe you'll get that. Listen, if the deal is 5 years, $70 million, tell me I made 5 years, $70 million guaranteed, not 5 years, $125, and I'm never going to see that money. That's why MLB, their players, the association laughs at the NFL. They're like, man, I feel bad for y'all because even if I'm only making 3 years, 20, guess what? I know I can go home to my girlfriend, my wife, my parents, and say, hey, I got 3 years, 20 guaranteed.
And you're going to get every nickel.
Every nickel, every penny, whether I'm hurt, whether I'm playing great, whether I'm an all-star or a bum, I'm getting that $20 million. So the NFL, this is why we have to be careful as fans when we kind of poo-poo on a player for going to get paid. More so in football than any other sport. Because it ain't like that. You Saquon Barkley, you gave your heart, soul, blood, sweat, tears, playing injured, not, giving it your best. You're, as the owner said, what did he say, Rob? He said he's our most popular. He's our best player. Our offense can't go without him. And yet they were able to let him go. So in NFL, even more than any sport, in all sports it matters, but especially, man, get what you can get when you can get it.
No doubt. All right, so Daniel Jones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what is that? 6 seasons, 70
really?
touchdowns.
That long?
Yeah, well, that is the point. That's the reason we're talking about this, because you just said it. 70 touchdowns, 47 interceptions, quarterback rating of 84.3, and it's mind-boggling. This year he has 8 touchdowns, 7 picks, and when I look at the Daniel Jones career and stint with it's mind-boggling to me, because I think he's the worst quarterback who ever got this much time to play. Like you just said, it's 6 years, and there have been a ton of busts. Okay, and this is not a second guess. If you've been listening to this show, we've been talking about Daniel Jones for years. I never thought he should have gotten paid. I never thought he was great. But there's all these guys we could talk about. Ryan Leaf, Jamarcus Russell, Jeff George,
Justin Fields,
Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Robert Griffin III. Bryce Young, you can put him on there. Achilles Smith, Johnny Manziel, Heath Shuler, Mitch Trubisky, Blaine Gabbert, Jake Locker, Christian Ponder. I mean, like on and on and on. And I just, somebody has to help me on what am I missing when it comes to the Giants and Daniel Jones? I'm asking you. Tell me.
I can tell you. It's called pride, Rob Parker. And when we see this all the time in sports, especially in football, head coach or the owner brings in this particular GM who brings in this particular head coach. I got to ride it out. That's my head coach. Or this head coach and the GM agree on a quarterback. We got to ride him out. That's our guy. We didn't sign him and let Saquon Barkley go. We got to make this thing work so we can eventually, every single game, they were praying, even if we lose, make Daniel Jones throw make it. You know what I want him to look like? Joe Burrow. So that Joe Burrow can, hey, it ain't me. I'm balling. It ain't me. It's y'all. I done got about dang near 15 touchdowns in the last 3 games, and we ain't winning. That's what they were hoping for Daniel Jones, so that they can say, look, the team ain't great right now. We're suffering, but boy, doesn't he look good. Boy, ain't he great. Boy, ain't he putting up numbers. And he isn't, he wasn't, and he really hasn't, because you mentioned his real career stats. It wasn't like he had 2-3 really good years, Rob Parker. He had a solid 1 year. And I was like, all right, yeah, he had a solid year. And as we always say, it was because I got to focus on Saquon back there.
Right.
So
it was 2020.
Plays, it's okay if it's you.
2022. And he had 3,200 yards, 15 touchdowns, 5 picks, and a 92.5 passer rating. And that was it. And they won that playoff game against the Vikings. And I talk about it all the time. Worst defense in the league. Right? And it matters. It does matter. I don't care what anybody says. You won, playoff win. I'm not taking it away from you. You know Mark Sanchez with the Jets?
Yeah.
Right? No big real career, right? He had 4, count them, 4 road playoff wins. Yeah, you know how hard it is to win 4 road playoff games?
That's huge.
Okay, and he wasn't any good. And my point is, that one win against the bad Vikings defense, that convinced you that he had 15 touchdowns in 17 games, not spectacular at all. And you said it. Saquon was the decoy. Like, they had to respect Saquon.
Yep.
That's what opened it up. If you remember Dak Prescott early on, it was because of what? Ezekiel Elliott, you remember?
Yeah. Yep.
I remember this. Tony Dungy got roasted when Dak Prescott got hurt a couple years ago. And you know what he said?
What did he say?
This might be a blessing in disguise. Now the Cowboys could get back to running the football. And a lot of people, kind of didn't like the idea that he would say that. And he didn't mean it from the injury standpoint. But he had said,
back to what made you successful.
Yes, that they got away from running the football and started throwing every down. I don't see it. I know Daniel Jones is mobile and can run a little bit. But I'm shocked. And here's the thing, and I use this quote all the time. Because Joe Dumars won a championship. You can say whatever you want about the Pistons.
Uh-huh.
That championship against the Lakers, Rob G would be sick if I bring it up, 2004.
Yeah.
When they beat the Shaq and Kobe, and they had no stars on that team. And I mean, not one name stars. They had a really good team, right? And a great coach in Larry Brown. But Joe Dumars always said this when he ran the Pistons. It's not about being right. It's about getting it right. And GMs do it all the time, Kelvin, and that's what you're talking about. Yep. If you're the guy who drafted Daniel Jones or something, or the owner wanted him or whatever, and you try to convince yourself, despite the facts, despite what's in front of you. I mean, who was ever gung-ho about Daniel Jones? I would like to know. What am I missing? I'm not an NFL scout. I don't know football like that, Kelvin, and I wouldn't even pretend. I'm a sports writer. I've been doing it for 40 years.
Yeah. There's another guy. If I just told you this guy's numbers, his, playing experience and all that, you would think, yeah, he deserves, he's out there. And when you were just talking about 6 years, it reminds me of Colin Kaepernick, who had obviously got to a Super Bowl with his team, put up some really good numbers with his team, had a bad year or two, but we ain't never heard from him again. Now, we know the real reason why.
Right.
We know what happened, but I always use that as an example when people are like, no, it's not because of that. It's because he was sucked.
Right.
No, you know how many dudes suck in the NFL who have jobs? Stop playing with me. Just say you don't like the man or the message, and I'm okay with that.
Stop with the numbers, because we've seen these other guys, right?
This man, if you look at his numbers, he being, of course, Colin Kaepernick, 72 touchdowns to only 30 interceptions. You heard what I just said to you? Then you go down to rushing yards. He rushed for 2,300 with an additional 13 touchdowns.
You remember when he ran over the Packers in that playoff game? You remember that?
Exactly. Dude was a play away from winning a Super Bowl, and then a couple seasons later, because he had a stance, and again, he wasn't playing great. The team wasn't great. There were injuries. They started to go down.
But to say that he couldn't play is ridiculous.
But to say he wasn't a 64th quarterback, meaning, okay, he's not a starter. Okay, fine. Which I don't believe there were 32 quarterbacks better than him at that time. And then, fine, you're going to tell me there's 64, meaning backups? You know how many bums are in there? Then stop playing with me. So my point, if Daniel Jones is still in his league, Bryce Young and a bunch of other players, and Bryce Young might be good later on once he gets to a better situation. My point is, stop trying to convince me back then that, Colin Kaepernick, because I'm looking at Daniel Jones, and he don't look no better than him at all. In fact, he looks worse. So, yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask for calls. No. Yeah, 877-99 on Fox. I mean, are we missing something? Did we miss something even in 2022 when he had a solid year? But most of that was because we got to lock in on that dude 26 back there.
Is he the worst quarterback you've ever seen who got 6 years to prove himself?
That's crazy. And a major market too, Rob. Major market. It wasn't like he did this quietly with the Jags where you'd be like, all right, nobody was really paying attention. You know what I mean? If he was with the Titans where you'd be like, all right, nobody really was paying. He's with the Giants in New York City. Crazy.